Welcome to Grow Overload. We have Intel teaming up with Qualcomm and Google to be able to go after Nvidia's CUDA. Now, Nvidia's CUDA has been entrenched in AI, and well, Nvidia has been entrenched in AI, and here is Google and Qualcomm teaming up with Intel to kind of tackle that in the AI space and kind of basically in the CUDA space in general. And I'm sure that this is because, Google has a stranglehold. It is closed source. oneAPI is a much more open, and it has a CPU, GPU, and FPGA. And they'll probably have the AI stuff too there. But this is all, just trying to be able to better compete. And since Intel has it open, right, it should be able to work on Qualcomm's hardware and probably Google's hardware as well. And they enable access to that to be able to kind of take it on, right? CUDA is entrenched, so it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort to kind of go and say, hey, this is better, this is equal, this is good enough to say, hey, we have offerings here that are a little bit cheaper, that you can deal with some growing pains right now. Here's access to the oneAPI to be able to get access to this hardware. Well, I do think that this is a good step. I like seeing this. I have mentioned in a prior video talking about the Rockham from AMD that I would actually like to see this take a step further. I really enjoy to see Intel oneAPI and AMD Rockham kind of come together and create something I think that would be very powerful. With if you were to add AMD Rockham in with the Intel oneAPI, put those together with Google and Qualcomm, they might be able to have a competitive product that is open that would be able to take on CUDA. But for right now, we do not have that. I do not have that pipe dream that that I've been looking for. But we have Intel trying to take steps to be able to take on CUDA in this fashion. Now, we've seen Intel trying to get back their footing into some of these markets. Intel trying to get there with their graphics card, trying to get there with their, FPGA line, and even back into the groove with their CPU line. So a lot of these will take, I think, a little bit of time as they progress. But if Google's able to, well, Google and Qualcomm are able to kind of help people migrate out of that and migrate out of the CUDA platform to use, the hardware that is in the Intel's oneAPI. There's going to be a lot more movement, especially if there's an easy process to move from CUDA to oneAPI. I think that as you can make that process easier, make the development, making the switch easier, that will slowly move people away from CUDA, especially if you have performant hardware, right? There's a couple different sides to this, right? You got to make the hardware there, you got to make the hardware performant, and then you have to be able to make the software easy enough to use, or the API easy enough to use, that people can migrate over easy enough. And if it can hit all that, if they can move that ever so slowly, as it's going to be slowly, I think that they're going to have a big option for people to be able to jump on board and say, you know what, this iteration, we're just going to go down this route. We're going to, we're going with the Intel oneAPI solution, and that is the way we're going to go because we have this hardware, and it's cheaper on the hardware side. Our software team says it's going to be easy enough to switch and be able to utilize it. This is what we're going with. So if Google, Intel, and Qualcomm can all make that effort and to show it off, then you're going to see more people switching, and you're going to see probably Nvidia having a little bit harder time getting keeping their traction with CUDA everywhere. Now, CUDA seems to be great to use, seems to be really well entrenched everywhere. If you start seeing where like Rockham and this Intel oneAPI start taking away, don't be surprised if Nvidia comes out with something that just is making sure that they stay entrenched at a certain at big enough level. I could see Nvidia even going as far as saying CUDA is going to be open source. I think if they did that, it would be a last straw effort of being, we want to have a stranglehood here, and we're going to allow open source of this just to keep that effort. But I don't see them going that far, because that would be a last ditch effort. But I do think that they are going to, they might adjust maybe pricing of hardware and everything else to be able to compete, to say, hey, stick with us, to be able to continue. So let me know what your thoughts are on this whole Intel One API, and having Google and Qualcomm join in, right? And being able to show developers a way out of the Nvidia platform, right? Do you think that that's going to be possible? Do you think that that's something that's going to actually work? Um, I think over time it will work, because that's kind of the progression that people have once they get comfortable with it. Once software platform, as long as it sticks to it, matures enough and makes it easy enough to switch out, you'll start seeing people switch because of pricing. That's kind of where it kind of gets to. But let me know what your thoughts are on this in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching Graveload and taking the time to support Graveload. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Watch another one of my videos really does help out the channel, and I really appreciate it. Thanks so much, and until next time, God bless.